On my 20th birthday, my parents laid out photos of the most elite socialites in the country. They wanted me to pick a wife to secure our family's legacy. In my past life, I chose Joelle Jones without a second thought. I had been head over heels for her since we were kids. But after the wedding, I realized I had walked into a nightmare. Her true love, Kian Vance, had been so devastated by our marriage that he went on a bender at a dive bar. He got into a fight, and a thug sliced the tendons in his hands. He tried to take his own life 3 times. Joelle was convinced I was the reason for his misery. She spent our marriage draining my family's bank accounts to support her secret lover. She hollowed out the Sterling empire until there was nothing left. In the end, she stood by and watched as Kian cut the brake lines on our car. My parents and I died in a mangled wreck on the highway. Now I've been given a second chance. I'm starting over. This time, I chose Joelle Lincoln. She's a quiet girl who avoids the spotlight, preferring meditation and spiritual retreats over high society drama. But when I walked into our engagement party with my arm around Leah, Joelle went absolutely ballistic. I placed Joelle Lincoln's photo in front of my parents. They shared a worried look, clearly concerned about my sudden change of heart. "Sterling, we know you've been obsessed with Joelle since you were in diapers," my father said. "Are you sure you don't want to reconsider?" I shook my head firmly. If this is what fate has dealt me, I want to see where it leads. I already knew what happened when I forced a life with Joelle. It didn't just destroy me, it wiped out my entire family. I wasn't going to let history repeat itself. This life was going to be different. Seeing my resolve, my parents finally nodded in agreement. "Fine. We'll talk to the Lincolns about the arrangements," my mother said. "But both families are high profile. Let's keep this under wraps until the official party to avoid any gossip." I agreed and headed out to a charity gala. But the vultures in the press must have smelled blood, because they swarmed me the second I hopped out of the car. "Mr. Sterling, have you decided which heiress will be the next Mrs. Sterling?" one reporter shouted. Another didn't even wait for me to speak. "The Sterlings are the top family in the city. Every girl is dying to marry you. But we all know your heart belongs to Joelle Jones. Is it official yet?" I looked up and locked eyes with Joelle as she walked into the lobby. She looked at me with the same coldness and disgust I remembered from my previous life. "Excuse me, get out of my way," she snapped at the reporters. Her bodyguards pushed the press aside. She immediately reached back and pulled a pale, sickly-looking Kian Vance to her side. "I have only ever loved Kian," she announced to the cameras. "Even if my family forces me to marry someone else, I will never give that man a single ounce of my heart." Kian looked moved, clutching her hand like a lifeline. He gave the cameras a watery smile. The reporters scrambled to take photos. Some turned back to me, hoping to catch me looking heartbroken or humiliated. A few rich trust fund brats nearby started whispering and snickering at my expense. "So what if he's the Sterling heir? Joelle doesn't want him," one whispered. "She'd rather have a guy from the slums than a billionaire like him." "He's a joke," another added. "Just a backup character in Kian Vance's love story." The mocking grew louder. Kian looked over at me and gave me a smug, taunting smirk. I didn't give him the satisfaction of a reaction. I just turned away and focused on the event. Of course, the organizers had seated her right next to me. Joelle sat down, her face tight with anger. "Sterling, I've told you 1,000 times I don't want to marry you," she hissed. "Why can't you just let it go?" I had heard those words so many times in my past life. It used to cut me deep, but now I just felt a dull annoyance. "I'm not holding on to you, Joelle," I said calmly. She slammed her fist on the table, her eyes full of loathing. "Then why are you forcing this? Just because the Sterlings are powerful doesn't mean you get to own my life. You're trampling on my dignity," she continued. "Even if we do get married, I'll never even look at you." She was right about that. In my last life, she never gave me anything but cold shoulders and resentment. Kian walked over then, his eyes brimming with fake tears. Without warning, he dropped to his knees in front of everyone. "Mr. Sterling, I know you hate me, but my parents are innocent," he sobbed. "You had your security kick them out of their apartment. My dad almost had a heart attack. Please just let us go," he begged. If you want me to give up Joelle so you can have her, I'll do it for my family." He choked back a sob. Before I could even process his lies, Joelle was pulling him up, looking at me like I was a monster. "This is between us, Sterling. Why are you attacking Kian's family?" she screamed. Her accusations were completely out of left field. "I didn't do anything to his family," I said. "You're a spoiled brat who thinks he can do whatever he wants because of his last name," Joelle yelled. Just then, a social climber scurried over with a fancy gift box. "Miss Jones, a little early engagement gift for you and Mr. Sterling." Before the man could finish, Joelle snatched the box and hurled it at my face in front of the entire crowd. "Apologize to Kian Sterling," she demanded. "Otherwise, I don't care if the Jones family is beneath yours. I'll refuse the marriage. I won't marry a man this cruel." The gift box was wrapped beautifully, but the sharp corner sliced right across my chin. The crowd gasped, but no one moved to help. I touched the cut, and my palm came away red with blood. Joelle looked like a stranger to me now. This was exactly how she had treated me in the past, humiliating me for Kian's sake. My heart finally turned to ice. I'm not apologizing for something I didn't do, I said. Fine. Don't regret it later. Joelle spat. She grabbed Kian's arm and stormed out of the gala. My parents were horrified when they saw the cut. They rushed me home and called the family doctor to patch me up. Looking at their worried faces, I felt a wave of relief. Thank God I had a chance to fix this. In this life, my parents were still here. Our wealth was still ours. I was going to stay as far away from Joelle and Kian as possible. A few days later, the Lincolns sent over the traditional engagement gifts. Huge crates filled the foyer of our mansion. There was even a vintage heirloom watch from their family. It was a sign of how much they respected this union. It made my chest tighten with a strange emotion. In my past life, the Jones family knew I was crazy for Joelle. They told everyone I was a stalker and that they were pitying me by letting her marry me. We didn't have an engagement party. They didn't provide a dowry. Even our wedding was just a cold dinner between families. I remembered how her parents mocked me at that table while Joelle ignored me. Comparing that to the Lincolns' respect made me realize how blind I'd been. I decided to go out and personally pick a gift for Leah. I was at a boutique jeweler's, discussing a necklace design with the master craftsman. Suddenly, the door swung open. Joelle walked in, holding Kian's hand. What are you doing here? She asked, her face twisted in a sneer. The jeweler chimed in. Mr. Sterling is very thoughtful. He's designing a custom piece for his bride. She glanced at the sketches on the table and tossed her hair back. I told you, I'm not marrying you. It doesn't matter how much jewelry you buy. Also, engraving initials on a pendant is so tacky, she added, looking at the letter Q on the sketch. I looked down at the drawing. I realized she thought the Q stood for Chiao, her Chinese family name. Actually, this is for a. Joelle, look at this suit. It's incredible, Kian interrupted. He ran over to a bespoke tuxedo hanging on a mannequin. Joelle's expression softened. If you like it, I'll have them make one for you. But I want to wear it tonight, Kian said in a velvet soft voice. I want to look good for you at the symphony. Joelle smiled at him, then turned to the jeweler like she was giving an order. Alter that suit for Kian's size. Do it fast. We have a concert to catch. I frowned. Joelle, that's my engagement suit. She didn't even blink. I'm busse. I don't have time for whatever little party the Sterlings are throwing. Besides, Kian looks way better in a suit than you do, she added. Kian had his back to her, giving me a look of pure triumph. But his voice sounded tiny and guilty. If Mr. Sterling doesn't want me to have it, it's okay. It's a rich man's suit. I'm just a nobody. Don't say that. Joelle snapped. The man I love isn't a nobody. Sterling is just a trust fund baby. He's not better than you. She handed the suit to the jeweler without another word. The jeweler looked at me, waiting for my command. My family had been their biggest client for generations. Joelle got angry that he wasn't moving. Did you hear me? If Kian likes it, let him have it, I interrupted. Joelle finally looked satisfied. Since you're finally being sensible, maybe I'll agree to have dinner with you once a month after we're married, she said. She acted like she was handing out crumbs to a stray dog. In that moment, I finally understood her. Ever since she found out the Sterlings were the top-ranked family, and the Joneses were barely in the top 10, her attitude had shifted. I used to love her because she seemed so fearless and unimpressed by money. But after the rankings came out, she started throwing you Sterlings in my face constantly. She put me down to feel better about herself. She wasn't strong. She was just deeply insecure. I actually laughed out loud. Joelle, what makes you so sure I'm even marrying you? Joelle curled her lip in a smirk. She looked like she had just heard the stupidest joke in the world. You've been following me around like a puppy since we were kids, she said. Every birthday wish you ever made was about marrying me. Now that you're finally 20, you think you can just pivot to someone else? Kian leaned into her, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Maybe he's right, Joelle. With the Sterling name, I'm sure girls all over the country are lining up to be his bride. Even if every girl in the world wanted him, he only wants me, Joelle said confidently. The two of them turned and walked out. Before she left, she looked back at the jeweler. Send the suit to my house. And fix that tacky necklace. No engraving. The jeweler sighed as the door closed. Mr. Sterling, what should I do? Let her have it, I said, sitting back down. I'll just design something better from scratch. And ignore her about the suit. She isn't the bride. She has no say. That night, I went to a friend's birthday party. Halfway through the night, Kian strolled in with a couple of Joelle's bodyguards behind him. One of the guards dropped a red plastic bag at my feet. Sorry for the wait, Mr. Sterling, Kian said loudly. I was going to return the suit after the concert, but Joelle was busy with me in the car. But you're a big man, Sterling. You don't mind, right? I looked down. The $5,000 suit was shoved into the bag like a piece of trash. It was stained with white fluid. It was disgusting and intentional. The room went quiet. Some people looked sorry for me, but most were just waiting for the drama. He's still just sitting there, someone whispered. He really is obsessed with Joelle, if he takes this kind of crap. Too bad she only has eyes for Kian, another person snickered. The Sterling heir is basically Kian's doormat. One day the Sterling business will be the Jones business. I didn't even look at the bag. I just signaled a waiter to take it to the trash. I'm glad you enjoyed the suit, Kian, I said flatly. My lack of a reaction frustrated him. His smug look faltered, and he stomped off to a table in the back. An hour later, Kian's Instagram, which had millions of followers, hit the trending page. A perfect day, a custom suit, the girl of my dreams, and a beautiful concert. He posted a photo of him and Joelle locked in a passionate kiss. Gossip accounts immediately dug up my old posts where I had confessed my love for Joelle. They compared my old photos to Kian's new one, dragging me through the mud. Joelle even liked the most popular video mocking me. The internet exploded. Sterling the simp became a viral meme overnight. I felt a cold flash of anger. I deleted my social media accounts and sent a quick text to my company's PR department. Within 10 minutes, every single post, video, and hashtag about me was wiped from the internet. The day before the engagement party, I was at the office when Joelle's bodyguards cornered me and forced me into a car. They took me straight to the Jones villa. When I walked in, I saw Kian sitting on the sofa looking distressed. Joelle was hovering over him, whispering sweet nothings. She turned to me, her face red with fury. Sterling, you've gone too far. Kian just posted a photo. How could you have his social media accounts banned? He makes his living on there. You're trying to ruin him. I stayed calm. I only had my name removed from the trending topics. Whatever happened to his account isn't my problem. Liar. Who else but a Sterling could do that? You're just jealous because she loves him. I'm not. Before I could finish, a sharp voice cut me off from the stairs. Starting a fight with your wife before the wedding? Is this how the Sterlings raise their sons? Joelle's mother sat down across from me with an air of supreme arrogance. Her father, who used to bow to me, was now sitting with his legs crossed, looking down his nose at me. Sterling, we don't like you. You're just a spoiled brat, her father said. But since you're obsessed with our daughter, we'll allow the marriage. However, we have conditions. The dowry must be at least 50% of the total Sterling family assets. I almost laughed. I started to shake my head to say no. Suddenly, a bodyguard punched me in the back of my knee. I cried out as I hit the floor. Joelle's mother signaled a servant, who brought over a tea set. You're going to be my son-in-law anyway. I should get my respect now, she said. Mr. Sterling, get on your knees and serve the tea to Mrs. Jones, the servant commanded. He shoved a scalding hot cup into my hand. My fingers burned, and I dropped it. The porcelain shattered everywhere. Sterling, have you no respect for your elders? Joelle shouted. I looked at my red, throbbing fingers and shook my head. I only serve tea to my actual in-laws. You said you didn't want to marry me, Joelle. That's perfect because I've changed my mind. I tried to stand up, but the bodyguards pinned my arms back. What are you doing? I'm a Sterling. You can't do this. I yelled. Joelle's mother marched over and slapped me hard across the face. The sting felt exactly like the slaps she gave me in my past life. I froze. The engagement is tomorrow and you're still acting out? She hissed. Joelle, look at this man you're marrying. No respect, no manners. Joelle wouldn't even look at me. He's the one who begged to marry me. If it were up to me, I'd be with Kian. Kian sighed dramatically. Joelle, I want to marry you so badly. But my family is poor. We can't fight the Sterlings. Mr. Sterling, I'm sorry. Please just let me go. I worked hard for those followers. He started crying. Joelle's heart broke for him. She walked over and stood over me, looking down like I was gum on her shoe. Sterling, you used every dirty trick to get this marriage, right? Fine. But I want a guarantee. You won't interfere with my life. You won't live at the Sterling estate. You'll stay here and serve my parents. And you'll take care of me and Kian. A lawyer stepped forward with a prenuptial agreement. It clearly stated that 50% of the Sterling fortune would be transferred to the Jones family. I clenched my fists, my eyes burning. Joelle, I'm not marrying you. Her mother saw her opening and slapped me again. The Sterlings aren't so great if they raised a dog like you, she mocked. I'll teach you some manners today so you don't embarrass us tomorrow. I lost count of how many times she hit me that day. They forced my thumb onto an ink pad and pressed it against the papers over and over. When they finally let me go, they told me I had to wear a gray suit to the party. Apparently, her father and Kian were wearing black, and they wanted me to look like a servant. I just felt numb. The next morning at the engagement party, I wore my custom black suit anyway. My parents were inside with the Lincolns. I stood at the door, greeting the guests. The Jones family arrived late, making a scene. Kian was holding Joelle's hand. She was in a red dress, and he was in a black suit. They looked like the happy couple. Usually, Joelle's father would be kissing everyone's ring. Today, he walked in with his chest out, acting like he owned the place. When he saw I was wearing black, his wife's face twisted. Where are your parents? I need to ask them how they raised such a disrespectful son. There were a lot of important people around, and I didn't want a scene. My parents are inside, I said. She poked her finger hard into my shoulder. Tell them to come out here and see me. I stepped back annoyed. Joelle walked over then, looking bored. She stood next to me, acting like we were co-hosting. Sterling, you got what you wanted. Happy now. But don't get ahead of yourself. You might have my body, but you'll never have my heart, she whispered. She sounded so bitter, like I had ruined her life. Joelle, I think you're confused. Actually, today is... Are you ignoring me? Did you forget how you were begging on your knees yesterday? Her mother shrieked. She pulled out her phone and started playing a video of me being forced to kneel. The guests stopped and stared. People started filming with their own phones. The reporters outside saw the commotion and pushed through the security. Mr. Sterling, is this a hazing ritual from your future mother-in-law? Does kneeling mean the Sterlings are now subservient to the Jones family? I felt a chill run down my spine. I tried to grab Joelle's arm. Tell your mother to turn that off now. She pulled away and adjusted her jewelry. If it teaches you how to respect your elders, then a little public shaming is good for you, she said. Joelle, your whole family is insane. I yelled. You're the one who begged to marry me. You have no right to talk about my family. I was about to lose it when a soft, cool hand reached out and grabbed my wrist. I turned around. Leah Lincoln was standing there in a simple, elegant white dress. Her eyes were calm but sharp as glass. Mrs. Jones, Leah said quietly, how many lives do you have that you think you can make my fiancé kneel to you? The silence that fell over the grand ballroom was so heavy you could hear the soft hum of the crystal chandeliers overhead. Joelle's mother, holding her phone with the video still playing, froze mid-step. Her arrogant smirk twitched, then crumbled into confusion as she glared at the slender woman holding my hand. Who the hell are you? Mrs. Jones sneered, puffing out her chest. Some little starlet hired to play a part? How dare you speak to me like that? I am Joelle Jones's mother, the future mother-in-law of the Sterling family. Future mother-in-law? A deep, commanding voice boomed from the top of the grand marble staircase. My father, dressed in a sharp, bespoke navy tuxedo, walked down step by step, accompanied by my mother and two distinguished figures, Mr. and Mrs. Lincoln, the heads of the Lincoln conglomerate. The crowd instinctively parted, clearing a wide path. My father looked at Mrs. Jones as if she were a piece of dirt stuck to his boot. Mrs. Jones, I didn't know the Jones family possessed such formidable authority, that you could appoint yourself as my wife's peer, let alone my son's mother-in-law. Mrs. Jones's face turned pale. Mr. Sterling. I was just disciplining Sterling because he was being disrespectful to Joelle. Disciplining my son? My mother stepped forward, her eyes cold as winter ice. She reached out and gently touched my bruised chin, her voice trembling with restrained, terrifying rage. You used bodyguards to hold my son down, forced him to kneel, burned his hands with scalding tea, and struck his face. Joelle stepped up, trying to put on her usual dismissive act. Auntie, you don't understand. Sterling went too far this time. He banned Kian's social media accounts and tried to ruin his family. We were just giving him a lesson so he wouldn't turn into a tyrant. Shut your mouth. Snap. My mother didn't hesitate. She stepped forward and delivered a swift, resounding slap across Joelle's face. The loud crack echoed through the entire venue. Joelle stumbled backward, clutching her reddened cheek, her eyes wide with complete shock. Auntie, you hit me. I am the vice chairman of the Sterling Group, not your auntie, my mother said coldly, pulling out a white silk handkerchief to wipe her fingers as if she had touched something filthy. For 10 years, my husband and I turned a blind eye to your arrogance because our son claimed he cared for you. We allowed your family to leech off our reputation, use our private jets, and expand your business under our name. My mother tossed the handkerchief into a nearby trash bin. We thought you were just a spoiled child. We never imagined you were a family of ungrateful, malicious parasites. Kian, seeing his golden goose getting hit, immediately put on his tragic hero persona. He stepped in front of Joelle, bowing low to my parents. Mr. and Mrs. Sterling, please don't blame Joelle. Kian wept, tears spilling from his eyes. It's all my fault. I'm just a poor boy. I shouldn't have existed. If you want to punish someone, punish me. Just don't break off the marriage between Sterling and Joelle. She loves him so much. Love. Leah Lincoln, standing beside me, let out a soft, amused laugh. It was a gentle sound, but it cut through Kian's performance like a sharp diamond blade. Leah looked at Kian, her expression calm, serene, and utterly unimpressed. Mr. Vance, Leah said smoothly, if I remember correctly, 3 days ago you transferred $2 million from the Jones family's private account to an offshore gambling site in Macau. And 4 days ago, your father was evicted from his apartment not by the Sterlings, but by the landlord because your family hadn't paid rent in 8 months, spending all your money on fake luxury watches to impress college girls online. Kian's face drained of every drop of color instantly. How do you? That's slander. Is it? Mr. Lincoln, Leah's father, stepped forward, tossing a thick dossier onto a nearby cocktail table. The Lincoln family's intelligence network isn't a joke, boy. Every penny you stole from Joelle, every fake medical report you generated to gain her sympathy, and every debt your father ran up, it's all in that file. The surrounding guests gasped. My God. So Kian Vance was a scammer all along? He played Joelle Jones like a fiddle. And the Jones family actually beat the Sterling heir for a street rat. Joelle stared at the file, then at Kian, her voice shaking violently. Kian, is that true? You told me Sterling forced your landlord to kick you out. Kian stammered, backing away, his sweat pouring down his forehead. Joelle, listen to me. She's lying. They're all teaming up to trick you. Enough of this farce. My father announced into the microphone mounted on his lapel, his voice echoing cleanly across the ballroom. Tonight's gala was never meant for the Jones family. We invited the press and our esteemed peers to announce a joyous union. My father walked over, placing his hand firmly on my shoulder, while Mr. Lincoln placed his hand on Leah's. Tonight, we officially announced the engagement of Sterling, sole heir of the Sterling Group, to Leah Lincoln, eldest daughter of the Lincoln conglomerate. The room erupted into loud, stunned murmurs, followed immediately by frantic camera flashes. Joelle stood frozen in the middle of the floor, her mind completely short-circuiting. She looked at me. She looked at the bespoke black tuxedo I was wearing, a suit that matched Leah's elegant white gown perfectly. She looked at Leah's hand gently, resting in mine, and at the vintage heirloom watch on my wrist, the Lincoln family heirloom. No. Joelle's voice cracked into a thin, pathetic shriek. No. Sterling, you're lying. You love me. You've been following me for 10 years. You can't marry her. She lunged toward me, her eyes wild, her red dress rustling messily. Before she could even reach the edge of our carpet, four tall security guards in black suits stepped forward, blocking her path with iron-like arms. I looked at Joelle, my expression as flat as static water. Joelle, I said quietly, my voice carrying over the camera clicks. I told you yesterday at the jewelry shop. I never promised to marry you. The only reason you thought I was obsessed with you was because I was blind. I reached out, gently lacing my fingers through Leah's soft, warm ones. Now my eyes are wide open. Take them out, my father ordered calmly, for uniformed police officers, who had been waiting in the VIP lounge after reviewing the security footage of yesterday's assault at the Jones villa, stepped into the main hall. The lead detective walked straight up to Mrs. Jones and her husband. Mrs. Jones, Mr. Jones, the detective announced, pulling out silver handcuffs. You are under arrest for illegal detention, intentional assault resulting in bodily harm, and forced extortion involving a prenuptial agreement. What? Mrs. Jones screamed, thrashing as the cold steel snapped around her wrists. You can't arrest me. I'm Joelle Jones. We're high society. You were high society, my mother corrected her coldly, stepping up beside my father. As of 10 minutes ago, the Sterling Group has officially canceled all 42 commercial contracts with the Jones family. We have called in our $12 billion short-term loans due immediately. Mr. Lincoln added smoothly, and the Lincoln conglomerate has placed the Jones family on our global blacklist. No bank, no supplier, and no shipping line connected to us will do business with you ever again. Mr. Jones collapsed onto his knees right on the polished floor, his face the color of ashes. No, Mr. Sterling, please. We were foolish. We were blinded by Joelle. Dad, Joelle cried out, trying to pull her father up, but her mother was already being dragged away by the officers, screaming obscenities at the cameras. Kian saw the ship sinking and immediately tried to slip through the crowd toward the side exit. Where are you going, Mr. Vance? Two heavy-set guards blocked his path, grabbing him by his collar and dragging him back to the center of the hall. Let me go. Kian shrieked, his pitiful, sweet facade dropping completely, revealing a vicious, terrified rat. I have nothing to do with this. Joelle was the one who gave me the money. She forced me to take the suit. She's the one who wanted to humiliate Sterling. Joelle turned around, staring at Kian in utter horror and disbelief. Kian, what did you say? Joelle's voice trembled. I did everything for you. I fought Sterling for you. I gave you millions. Did I ask you to? Kian spat, glaring at her with pure loathing. You stupid, narcissistic bitch. You just wanted a servant who would flatter you all day so You could feel superior to the sterling air. You ruined my life. If you hadn't brought me here tonight, I wouldn't be getting arrested. Slap. Joelle lunged forward and slapped Kian hard across his face, crying hysterically. The two of them began clawing, punching, and screaming at each other on the floor like feral dogs, right in front of every major media outlet in the city. The reporters went wild, camera flashes lighting up the room like lightning strikes. I didn't watch the circus. I turned away, offering my arm to Leah. Shall we go inside? The engagement. Dinner is about to start. Leah looked up at me, her clear, tranquil eyes reflecting the warm chandeliers. A soft, genuine smile curved her lips. Lead the way, my fiancé, she whispered softly. We walked hand in hand into the grand dining room, leaving the screaming, weeping ruins of the Jones family behind us forever. Over the next 2 weeks, the city's business landscape underwent a seismic shift. Without the backing of the Sterling family, the Jones Corporation collapsed like a house of cards built in a hurricane. Their stock dropped by 95% in 3 days. The banks seized their villas, their luxury cars, and their private accounts to satisfy the $12 billion debt call. Mrs. Jones and her husband were indicted on criminal charges for assault and extortion, due to the overwhelming video evidence provided by the Sterling legal team, including the footage of Mrs. Jones forcing me to kneel and burning my hands. The judge denied bail. Kian Vance's fate was even worse. The investigation into his financial records uncovered a massive network of illegal online gambling, wire fraud, and identity theft. He was sentenced to 8 years in state prison. His father, who had faked his near heart attack to guilt-trip Joelle, was evicted from his apartment for real, this time living in a damp single-room shelter on the outskirts of town. As for Joelle, stripped of her wealth, her bodyguards, her luxury clothes, and her pride, she was forced to move into a tiny, dilapidated studio apartment. Her former high society friends blocked her number overnight, treating her like a contagious plague. One rainy Tuesday afternoon, I was leaving the Sterling headquarters accompanied by Leah and our legal team. As we stepped out toward our car, a disheveled, ragged figure rushed out from behind a concrete pillar. Sterling. It was Joelle. She looked unrecognizable. Her long, silky hair was messy and unwashed. Her designer dress was wrinkled and stained, and she wore no makeup, revealing pale, hollow cheeks and dark circles beneath her eyes. Our security guards instantly stepped forward, forming an impenetrable wall. Sterling, please, just 1 minute. Joelle wept, falling onto her knees on the wet pavement, ignoring the cold rain soaking her clothes. I stopped, looking down at her from behind the guards. What do you want, Joelle? I asked, my voice calm, flat, and devoid of any heat. I was wrong, Joelle sobbed, her hands clutching the hem of her wet coat. Sterling, I was tricked by Kian. He lied to me about everything. He made me think you were trying to ruin his family. I didn't want to hurt you. She raised her wet, tear-stained face, looking at me with pathetic, desperate eyes. The same eyes she used to use when she demanded I buy her expensive gifts. In my past life. Sterling, you loved me for 10 years, she whimpered, her voice cracking. You made every birthday wish about me. You can't just forget all of that. Please, tell your parents to stop the lawsuit. Give my family back our company. I'll marry you. I'll be a good wife. I'll never see Kian again. She actually thought that offering her marriage was a grand gift I should kneel and accept. I couldn't help but let out a soft, dry laugh. Joelle, I said, taking a step closer to the edge of the stairs. Do you remember what you told me in the jewelry shop 2 weeks ago? Joelle blinked, her mouth trembling. What? You said that even if every girl in the world wanted me, I only wanted you. I recalled smoothly, every word dripping with quiet, devastating irony. You said I was just a trust fund puppy following you around. Joelle's face turned ghastly pale. In my past life, I murmured, my voice dropping so low that only she could hear. I gave you my heart, my family's fortune, and my life. And you watched. Kian cut the brake lines on my car while my parents and I burned on the highway. Joelle's eyes widened to the absolute limit. She gasped, stumbling backward on her knees, staring at me as if she were looking at a ghost from the depths of hell. What did you say, brake lines? She stammered, her entire body shaking violently with a sudden, instinctual terror. The universe gave me a second chance, Joelle. I looked into her eyes with an absolute, terrifying emptiness. Not so I could beg for your love, but so I could watch you drown in the pit you dug for yourself. I turned my back on her. Sterling. No. Please. Sterling. Joelle screamed, lunging forward. But the security guards shoved her hard onto the wet asphalt. She lay in the dirty puddle, weeping, screaming, and slapping her own face in utter, soul-crushing regret as our Maybach glided smoothly away into the rain. 3 months later, the autumn sun shone brightly over the private glass pavilion at the Lincoln estate. The air smelled of fresh tea, blooming jasmine, and old parchment. I sat at a wooden table across from Leah, sketching a new jewelry design on a pad. Leah sat quietly beside me, holding a delicate porcelain cup, reading an ancient volume of poetry, her long lashes casting soft shadows on her fair cheeks. There was no shouting, no demanding, no dramatic tantrums, and no endless gaslighting. Just a quiet, profound, and peaceful warmth that filled every corner of my chest. Is the design finished? Leah asked gently, setting her cup down and leaning over to look at my sketchbook. I smiled, turning the pad toward her. It was a pair of interlocking platinum wedding bands, engraved with delicate olive branches on the inner band, a symbol of peace, rebirth, and eternal protection. Leah looked at the drawing, her clear eyes softening with a deep, quiet affection. She reached out her hand, her slender fingers lacing through mine. It's beautiful, Sterling, she murmured softly. Not as beautiful as the woman who's going to wear it, I replied, bringing her hand to my lips and pressing a gentle kiss against her knuckles. Leah's cheeks flushed a delicate shade of pink, a rare, breathtaking sight that made my heart flutter with pure, unadulterated joy. My phone chimed on the table with a news update. I glanced at the screen casually. Final court ruling, Joelle Jones's appeal dismissed. Remaining family assets liquidated to satisfy Sterling Group bankruptcy claims. Kian Vance sentenced to 8 years in maximum security facility for financial fraud and extortion. Below the article was a small photo of Joelle working as a night shift cleaner at a suburban bus station, wearing a worn, high-visibility vest, her hands cracked and red from cold water. I didn't feel rage. I didn't feel triumph. I simply swiped the notification away, deleting the app entirely. Something unimportant? Leah asked, tilting her head. Just junk news, I smiled, closing my sketchbook and taking her hand in both of mine. Let's go for a walk in the garden. The maple leaves are turning red today. All right, Leah stood up, wrapping her soft wool shawl around her shoulders, smiling up at me under the golden afternoon light. I walked beside her under the clear, boundless blue sky. My parents were safe, healthy, and thriving. My family's legacy was secure. And standing beside me was a woman who cherished me for who I was, not for what my last name could give her. The nightmare of the past was finally burned to ash, and my real life had just begun.